Okay, I thought that was a fade in. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Barcast. One of my solo episodes. These are always fun. Um, Today we're actually, or I am actually testing out the camera that we just bought. So, for all of you that are not seeing me live, I'm sorry. You should probably join the Patreon. It's very easy to join the Patreon. You can just search the Barcast on Patreon. We have tiers as low as $3, as high as $100. Lots of different perks. I believe the lowest one gets you onto the live feed, but it's up to you. I still have to talk to Rob. Again, this is mostly just for testing purposes. Um, for all I know, this show may not even come out. This episode. Um, it just depends. I gotta talk to Rob, see how he feels about it, see what he wants to do. Maybe we'll release it, maybe we won't. Literally just chilling. I'm sitting here in my pajamas, as you can see. I just took a shower. This is what I love about these at home or solo episodes, is that I can do what I want. This is my domain. I can literally just sit here, freshly showered, feeling good about myself in my bedroom and do what I want. Not that I can't do what I want when I'm with Rob. Rob is very lenient about what we do. But it's different. Like I'm in a bar, you're in front of people, you got to behave yourself to an extent. You just can't. I can't show up at the bar with my robe on. But yes, for those of you that are watching, I am drinking as always. Right now, I am drinking a sweet Lake Ridge local, going local for all of you guys. I don't tend to drink the sweeter stuff. I am more of a dry wine drinker. I prefer a Cabernet Sauvignon. Probably butchered that pronunciation, but whatever. I like the drier stuff. Not too dry, not like a Merlot dry, but that in between where you have a little bit of sweetness, but it's not just like you're not drinking grape juice. This the Lake Ridge stuff, I've always felt like it was grape juicy. My aunts like it, so it's whatever they want. The only reason I'm even drinking this stuff is because we had a party the other day and it was just left over. Spanish people have this like unspoken rule that if you go to a party, you have to bring something with you. It can be food, it can be liquor. I prefer that if you're coming to my house, you bring liquor. I can provide the food. The food is cheap. I can just go to the bodega down the street, get some bunch of giant trays of food, feed everyone, and boom. But liquor, hey, it doesn't go bad. You just put it away, just keep there, drink it slowly. But yeah, that's what I'm drinking right now. After that, this is actually my last glass of that. That was about halfway done when I started, but then I'm going to jump over to some Winking Owl sangria from Aldi. So Aldi has actually some pretty good wines. Again, this is a sweeter wine. I am not a sweet person, as you guys all know. Um, but this is what my mother, my aunts, grandmother, this is the type of stuff that they like. They like the sparkling wines and the sweet stuff. Uh, I am dry and strong, and I burn you. I hurt you as I go down. That's why, unless I'm drinking wine, I prefer to drink whiskey. But yeah, I have been recent, like actually got home about it's 8 o'clock right now, Eastern time. So I got home about 6:28, 6:30 or so. I leave work at 5. So I got home, took a shower, had a bite to eat, uh, groomed myself and all that good stuff. And while I was doing this, I obviously had a glass of wine next to me. But I left work at 5 and got here at 6:30. I work about 30 miles away. I live in Point Siena and I work in Metro West. So for you guys that don't live here, it's a straight shot. I literally take 3 roads: Point Siena Boulevard, 535, I-4. I'm at work. But sadly, it takes me an hour and a half to make that 30-mile drive. And why does it take so long? Traffic. The giant T word that everyone hates. And traffic is something that since I've moved here, it's been an issue. And I moved here 21 years ago now, 22, can't remember, 2001. Um, but it's been an ongoing issue. When I first moved here, driving in Florida, wherever you went was amazing. You could go anywhere and make it there quickly, pleasantly. You didn't have any traffic. The worst you had was maybe that one-off chance that maybe a cow got out and blocked the road. That was the extent of our traffic was then. But then as the 2000s continued forward, the boom happened. Everybody started moving here. 2008 happened. Some people moved out, but then things like Katrina happened, Maria happened, all this other stuff happened everywhere else where everyone wanted to come here. Then you have this now second, I guess, housing boom where everyone wants to come to Florida. So since about 2000, I want to say 5 or so, it's just been nonstop traffic issues. And the reason I specifically wanted to talk about this now is because in Osceola County and Orange County, central, much of Central Florida, many parts of Florida in general, I don't know of the rest of the states, August 8th is doomsday for those of us that have to depend on rush hour traffic between the hours of about 7:30, 8 o'clock until about 10:30, and then rush hour on the way back home between around 3:45 until about 6, 7 o'clock. The why is this date doomsday? If you haven't already said the word, it's because school starts that day. And horribly in Florida, schools are placed on some major highways, major thoroughfares, not necessarily highways. It's like Poinciana Boulevard, Pleasant Hill, John Young, these major roads that aren't that if it was anywhere else, I really don't think they would be meant for schools. These schools are placed right on those roads, not in an off road, on that road. And for example, on my trip, I pass about four to five schools on my way to Metro West. Um, and the vast majority of them, I want to say 3 to 4 of them, are on the main road. So that means that these are all school zones on major roads. And the other day, as I'm sitting through traffic, because there's still traffic, even though school's out, there's still traffic because there's traffic. There's nothing we can really do about it at this point. Um, I'm sitting there and I'm just stopped at a red light with about 40 to 50 cars in front of me, and I am thinking, school starting, but I don't understand, why are these schools built the way they are? Why are we putting these schools on, not only on these major roads, but in the middle of nowhere? Because even though these are major roads, there's nothing or not aren't well developed there. Not well developed, but they're not densely developed. There's not much around these areas. There's some communities and such, but it's not like if you were in up north, Massachusetts, New York, Chicago, all these places where you have PS 357, whatever you want to call it, or you have I don't know, the Stephen Barker School, whatever. And these schools are built in the center of neighborhoods. People live next door, neighbors to the school. Over here, some schools may not have anything around them besides forest and just the sidewalk that passes through the front and the major road that passes right through the front as well. And I'm thinking, why do we do this to ourselves? Like, why do we force people to have to drive? Because that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. When you build if you build, let's say, a community in one area, and then 10 miles away you build a school, everyone is going to have to drive to school. It's common sense. Why aren't we building these schools in major areas, or in populated areas in the middle of these communities? So for example, if there's one school on my way to work, Mater, that is built right outside of a community. There is a community behind it. I believe it's Indian Point. So all those people that live in Indian Point, rather than walking to school or whatever, the vast majority of them that live too deep have to all get into cars and drive to the school. They have to leave their community, take a right, and then take another right to get into the school. unless they want to do that thing where some parents do, where they will exit the community, drop their kid off, and do like this crazy U-turn to get back into the community and have their kid walk the rest of the way, which is it's makes sense. But again, I digress. Why are we building these schools these ways? And I start researching, I start looking into it. And I think, I believe that the reason is because of its legality. They have to be built this way. Um, Obviously, what I mean by that is that there are rules as to how a school can be built. And what I found after reading, because I don't know, I get manic about some of this stuff and I just start reading pages and pages and pages of state statutes on stuff. So I'm very close to being an expert on school construction at this point. But I happened to come across this specific state statute, Florida state statute 10-13-36, subsection 2. Quote, each new site selected must be adequate in size to meet educational needs of the students to be served on that site by the original educational facility of future expansion of the facility through renovation and relocation. So, how I read this, and again, I just work at a law firm. I'm not an attorney. I don't. I'm not versed in all of this stuff. But how I read this is that there are essentially size limits. The statute and everything else I read did not specify exactly what the size limits are. It kind of just says you have to have space. You have to have space for future expansion, for the school to grow, for the school to get bigger, either through renovation or relocation. I think I may have written that wrong, but I believe that the whole portable situation that lots of us went through in high school, where you were essentially in a mobile home as their classroom, that kind of falls into that whole situation. But I guess if I'm correct, this is the reason why you have to have schools so far out of the way, because you there's no land. Like, for example, in my community, Poinciana, there isn't any specific location. There are, but there aren't anything where I guess it's easy for the school board to purchase and build a school on. There may be land, but it's possibly parceled out already, where you already have the land divided into what will be future homes or whatever you may be the situation. It's not possible. And I guess in my brain, my first thought is, why do we even have this? Then I answer my own question by saying, well, dumbass, you have to make schools bigger as communities grow. But then I ask myself this, I have these arguments in my head. Okay, I understand you have to make the schools bigger, but instead of making them bigger, why don't you just build more? And at that point, I couldn't ask myself any more questions because I think I answered my own issue. Rather than building these giant campuses, why don't we build tiny, like, there's the whole tiny home movement. Why not build tiny homes? Or excuse me, tiny schools? Rather than having these schools with hundreds upon hundreds of classrooms, build smaller schools with maybe, I don't know, 40, 50 classrooms that they fit on smaller lots. You can spread them out a lot more and have a community, like, for example, Poinciana, which is, if you Google Poinciana, it's a fairly big area, the biggest HOA, I believe, in the country. Um, you could have 60, 50 elementary schools and just have them be very small and have them so close to people that all these kids can walk to school. Again, now the next issue after that I won't go into, that is the walkability of these communities, because Poinciana is not goddamn walkable. You can't walk almost anywhere. Not because things aren't close. You may have a 7-Eleven close to you, but there's no sidewalks in half this damn place. But I go back to the whole school situation and the traffic situation. I think I kind of found a simple solution that will maybe not perfect our school time traffic situation, but it may alleviate it. It may alleviate it. May make it better. I don't know. You guys tell me. I know that I actually talked to about this. He probably doesn't remember, but I mentioned it to Darren Soto like a few years ago. That why aren't we building these schools next to people? Like, why are we building schools in the middle of nowhere? Um, it was an email, so obviously, like most politicians, I never got an answer. And I like Darren. Darren's a nice guy. Do we agree on everything? Nah, but I don't agree with half the stuff people do. But we get along. We whenever we sit down, we talk, we have good conversations. Um, but I kind of just wanted to talk not only about the school thing, but the traffic in general. I guess school was just my avenue into that realm. Because even when school's out, like I mentioned earlier, traffic is fucking brutal. It is the goddamn worst out here. Getting from point A to point B in almost all of Central Florida is just a hassle. And I think that that's why the vast majority of actual like Floridians or people that have been here long enough to call themselves Floridians. I'm talking about if you lived here longer than you lived anywhere else. I would consider you a Floridian. You don't have to be born here. The vast majority of Floridians aren't born here. Um, but I think that that's the reason Floridians don't like outsiders. It's not because we don't like New Yorkers. Granted, I think New Yorkers aren't the greatest people ever. But I'm from Boston, so I kind of have to say that. Um, it's not because we don't like these individuals that come from out of state. It's because we understand that whenever more people move in, it just makes our lives harder. And I think that people that move here slowly but surely realize the same thing, that you move here, yes, it's great, sunshine year round, you have Mickey Mouse right next door, you can go outside in the wintertime in shorts, you can go to the pool in the middle of January. They have that image in their brain, and then after a specific amount of time they realize, yo, this traffic is goddamn horrible. I it takes me an hour to to go to the grocery store, and then an hour to get back, plus an hour in the grocery store. It takes me 3 hours to get groceries. Something that should be max an hour. You go there, pick up your groceries, 45 minutes, and then you head back. So 10 minutes each way. Let's put an hour in some. It should not take so long in traffic. It's unproductive time, and that's what pisses me off. That, for example, I did the math for my job, not including gasoline. It takes me an hour and a half each way. An hour and a half times two, because you're driving each way, that's 3 hours a day, times 5 days a week that I work. That is 15 hours a week lost in just driving. Just driving. 15 hours a week. That is almost a part time job that I could be doing. I could be productive. I could go to the gym. I could wake up at the same time, go to the gym, maybe lose a few pounds because my fat ass definitely needs to do it. I don't know, I could get out of work and easily do grocery shoppings and still be home by 6:30. Do my groceries, do whatever errands that I have to do, and be able to show up at home without it being dark outside almost. It's still, you can actually see my window. It's still light, so I'm over here complaining about light. But once daylight savings time comes, it's gonna be dark outside at this time, which fucking sucks. I know Marco Rubio has been working on that apparently, but like most shit they do, nothing ever happens. I am very much for getting rid of daylight savings time. Screw that shit. Let me wake up at the same time year round. This whole farmer bullshit, that's all lies. It was just made by rich people to so that kids didn't have to go to school at specific times during the summer when it was hot or whatever. But yeah, where was I? See, now I lost track. I got angry about daylight savings time and I lost track. Oh, traffic, traffic. Looking for my chapstick. Yeah, I know that in many areas of Kissimmee, St. Cloud, Poinciana, Celebration, uh, even Holopaw, traffic is a mess. And I guess the county is somewhat working on it. But again, I think the counties, as always, they're very slow. They actually, I saw that in Poinciana, they actually took my idea from when I was running and decided to put a bunch of roundabouts on Marigold. I really hope that that will make somewhat of a difference. Um, I know, and here, and I'm going to tell you this from the get go. There is going to be a learning curve on these roundabouts. People that don't know how to use roundabouts don't instantly learn how to use roundabouts. So what is going to happen is that they will build the roundabouts and there are going to be accidents. There are initially going to be accidents. But what will happen is if you look at the roundabout over a period of time, you'll notice that the accidents start to decrease. Not only decrease, but they get to a point where there are less accidents at those intersections than there were previously. It's been proven, it's been showed in data. Look it up. I can put the stuff in the show notes. I don't know how to do that yet, but we'll eventually get there when I can put things and say to look in the show notes. Um, but yeah, the roundabouts have been proven to be much far safer than regular intersections and your four-way stops and your stop signs and your traffic lights. Just because one, they don't stop traffic, and two, they allow for people to essentially not stop traffic, continue going. So what it does is lower the chances of rear endings, because when you have a stoplight, what happens is that people want to go on yellow, they get to the stoplight, it turns red, and then they slam on their brakes so they don't get a ticket. And then the person coming behind them just bashes into them. Boom, rear ending. Whereas if someone knows that there's a roundabout coming, a lot of times they will pay more attention naturally just because they know that something unfamiliar or something different is coming up. And you'll see those accident numbers start to decrease, which would be exciting if, accidents happen less and then everyone's insurance can possibly go down. But yeah, that's exciting stuff. I know that that's coming. I heard that apparently on Marigold or excuse me, the Overplum and Cypress Parkway, we might get another roundabout, which would be very interesting because that's a much bigger uh, intersection. And this is with state money stuff, apparently. From I read it in one of Darren Soto's posts or something. But that would be interesting. And again, this is something that I have been talking about for years, that it's not every single intersection on the planet should have a roundabout. Some of it's that we need to look at intersections and take some empirical proof based on what is happening at that intersection, and then make a determination based on that proof. Um, you don't want to put a roundabout in the middle of two highways, because it doesn't make sense. You may want to put a flyover. That way, people can easily get on and off. Maybe a diamond interchange, something different. But you have to look at each individual intersection to make that determination. And I don't think that a lot of our government officials do that. I think that what they do is that they just see, oh, I'm looking at Apple Maps and there's a bunch of red lines. Let's make the roads bigger, because obviously, if you take a 2-lane road and make it a 4-lane road, traffic can flow a lot quicker. But that is false based on the information available to everyone. It actually shows that it does not decrease traffic, because traffic is still stopping at the intersection. What stops traffic, or what hinders traffic, is stops and goes. If you take away the stop, then everyone goes. It doesn't matter. You can do like many areas in Asia have done, and make 16 lanes thoroughfares. You can make 18 lane, 20 lane, and you will still have traffic. Why? Because you have a bunch of people going in a single direction that now have to stop, whether it be because of a stop sign, because of a traffic light, because of a traffic cop, whatever the reason be. Even school buses actually cause traffic. School buses, when they stop on major roads, they cause traffic because they stop all traffic. And then it creates what's called a traffic snake, where you stop traffic in one point and then all the traffic starts slowly stopping. The head then starts moving, but the traffic is still backed up, which is, I guess, going back to schools, which is another stupid thing that we do in Central Florida. And I don't understand why. We have buses that stop and pick up children on the major roads, the roads that are supposed to just keep going. And what pisses me off is that parents, and I'm talking to you if you have a child, give your child a sense of urgency. The rest of us don't give a shit that your child's going to school. We are just angry because we have to sit in traffic and wait for your child to slowly walk his ass up into the bus. Tell his ass to hurry up. Everyone's thinking it. You're thinking it when you look at other people's kids. Hurry your ass up. Teach your kids how to hurry their asses up because there's no reason why these children have to be walking so damn slow. Same thing when it comes to crossing the damn street. Why these kids walk this? You are literally stopping traffic. You just need one crazy person to run you over. That's all you need. Run your ass. Just because the guy is in yellow looks like he's walking does not mean he's running. Bolt it. Get across the street. Get out of the way because everyone else is waiting for you. We are being courteous by stopping because we are driving giant death machines that can literally take you out. So do us a favor. Hurry your happy ass across the street. Stop being so damn slow. But now that I yelled at everyone and their children, I am going to take a little break. So I will be back in a second. I am back. I hope you guys enjoyed your minute and a half while I refilled my drink, went to the restroom, and like sent like 6 text messages. Oh, I think my light just went out. Um, Screw it, whatever. Um, but yeah, I guess moving on. Oh, this does not look right. I don't like how this looks without a light. My light just dimmed out for me. I think the battery's dying, but whatever. Issues that you have when you go in vivo. But moving on. So I kind of touched on schools, and I guess staying on the topic of schools, even though I kind of went into traffic, but whatever. This is my show. I do what I want. Charity. Charity, people being philanthropic. It's always good. I like it when people are philanthropic. I try to donate my time as much as I can. It's very difficult donating your time when you have a full time job and like a gazillion other things happening at the same time. Most of my weekends are taken up either by the show that normally records on. I'm recording on a Thursday today just because I got home and I was angry at traffic and I was like, you know what? Let me bust a move. But I've actually been mellow today, awkwardly. I don't know. Um, but yeah, normally either the show, I work most of the week, or I work all of the week, Monday through Friday. So I normally get home and I try to rest for the next day, and then I take my weekends to hang out with family that I don't see them the entire week. So my grandmother, I visit her at least once every weekend. I hang out with my parents, my brothers, everyone. So there's not. I need to figure out a way that I can cut a little piece of that either during the week or weekends or whatever to kind of volunteer a little bit more because I don't do as much as I'd like. I do admit that. I feel like I used to do a lot more. I used to volunteer to, or not volunteer. I used to actually organize a few people once a month to go out to the Kissimmee Lakefront to clean the lake wall, which is, if you guys, for those of you that don't know what the lakefront is, there's literally just a wall that kind of keeps the water separated from everything else. And trash kind of just gathers up at that wall over time. So I would go out there and kind of tell everyone that I knew, hey, come out, let's meet up, let's hang out, let's go out, we'll clean up the lakefront or the lake wall, and then after that we'll go get something to eat. Um, it was so successful that I was able to actually get the city to start helping me out and essentially give us supplies, so I didn't have to produce the supplies anymore. Sadly, as I was in college at the time, I think, and things got a little bit busier, so I couldn't continue to do it. And then after that, like I started volunteering with other things, food and helping the homeless and all that stuff. Just giving time. I don't like, you will never find me posting about it on Facebook or anything. And like, I only mention it here to, I guess, get to this next point that I'm eventually going to get to, which is literally talking about how people do exactly what I'm talking about. I don't volunteer for recognition. I don't volunteer for so that people can give me a pat in the back. I do it because I feel like most people should. You really should take out at least a little bit of your time, an hour a month, 2 hours every other week, something to do something for someone else that where you have no where there is no instant gratification, where you don't get paid for it, where you are doing it just to be a good person. And you can donate your time to but the bazillion charity organizations that exist. You can do something yourself. You can package some lunches, and if you know a local homeless camp, take some lunches out there. It's that simple. It takes packing up sandwiches, ham and cheese sandwiches with maybe like a soda and I don't know, so a bag of chips. It costs you almost nothing, and you will put a smile on someone's face. Oops. You will make someone happier for a small fraction of their life, and most people will remember that, or at least they will acknowledge that you exist in the future if they see you again. um but I guess the point that I'm trying to get at is that it pisses me off when I see and this kind of always happens every election cycle, every 2 years, or if you have some sort of special election in between that, where people take advantage of charity. They will use charity as a way to gain publicity. And I really think that everyone should start seeing this for what it is. It is not charitable for you to go to, let's say, during COVID, to go to a food bank or an area that's giving food away to those who have lost their jobs or are going through rough times, and then taking a goddamn selfie with you and this person that's probably going through the worst goddamn time of their goddamn life, just so you can post it on Facebook and tell people that you're a good person. You are not a goddamn good person if you do that kind of dumb shit. You are a horrible human being if you use the suffering of other people to advance your objectives. You are a horrible, disgusting human being if you go and donate your time for, I don't know, Meals on Wheels, the Council on Aging, the Red Cross, whatever it may be. I don't know, your local church, and you use that opportunity to do something good and turn it into a way to publicize yourself. You are human feces if you do that. You are a piece of garbage and you deserve to get hit by a goddamn train for doing that kind of dumb shit. If you give your time, you should do it out of the kindness of your heart because you want to, not because there is some sort of gratification, some sort of payment, some sort of publicity behind it. And it too often you see this kind of nonsense happening. You see the book bag drives. I love the book bag drives, which I've never understood the book bag drives either because how many goddamn book bags can you really give away? Like, are there these happen like all the goddamn time? Like, are there can no one afford a book bag? I understand that there are people that need this, but it's you have book bag drives literally right now every other week, and it's like, oh, 500 book bags here, 400 book bags there, 700 book bags here, 1,000 book bags here. There are how many students? I think I posted something the other day about how many students, but there's a finite amount of kids you can give book bags to. Eventually, you run out of kids to give book bags to. Like, Jesus Christ. But I digress. The book bag drive thing, like right now, again, it goes back to what I'm saying. There are people using these book bag drives to publicize themselves. And if you're a politician, I understand why you're doing it. It's obvious. And I guess in some terms it's forgivable if you at least stick your hand into your own pocket and purchase the book bags and supplies and everything yourself and then give it out, because I guess that's the gain you get for spending your money. If you're going to spend thousands of dollars to buy book bags, pencils, paper, binders, trapper keepers, little Ziploc bags for your pencils or whatever, sharpeners, any other stuff that kids use nowadays, at this point, I think we should just get them all iPads and call it a day. What the hell do they need a book bag for? Um, just wasting trees. But if you go through the effort of purchasing all of that yourself and then you give it out to kids, whatever. I'll you get a slap on the wrist. But if you not only use the opportunity to publicize yourself, but also use public funds, what the fuck is wrong with you? You not only and this is specifically for the people who are in office currently, the incumbents, whether you're running or not. um it pisses me off that there are so many people going through a struggle right now to get minuscule things like gasoline, food, housing, a plethora of things, and many times in many of these situations they're a few dollars short. And if you gave these people tax cuts, they could probably have those few dollars. But no, what we're going to do, and I'm talking as a official, a sitting official, is that I'm going to take your money. I'm going to spend it for you because you don't know how to use it. And I am going to give food away. I'm going to give book bags away. I'm going to give something away. I'm going to do gun buybacks. I'm going to do whatever the hell you call it, whatever you want to do. But I am not going to take a single penny out of my own pocket to do it. I am going to use taxes that I've charged you. And who knows, what situation you're in. You may be wealthy, super wealthy, and you can afford it. It doesn't matter, it doesn't hurt you. Or you could be destitute on the borderline of losing the hotel room that you're still living in with your two kids. And you know what? Your sales taxes, your property, whatever taxes you pay, we're going to use it to give it away to other people because we're better than you. And then we're going to fucking stab you in the heart and twist the knife by taking a picture of it and posting it on Facebook and telling everyone how great we are about it. That is fucking horrible. And again, those kind of people need to like just stand in front of the sunrail. They just need to stand in front of the sunrail and let inertia, what's I don't know what the word is, the velocity, whatever you want to call it, let it do the work. Just take them out like A Train took out Huey's girlfriend. Call it a day. Because you are not philanthropic, you are not kind, you are not a good person. You are a bad seed, bad apple. And I'm not a religious person, but I know that God does not like people that do good works for the purpose of getting into heaven. Or I think I remember that right. I haven't been to church in years. You should do good works just for the sake of doing good works, not because you plan on seeing God or I think it's Saint Joseph at the gates, Saint John, one of them. Your purpose should be to be a good person, period, at all times. If you're just doing this to gain something, you're not a good person. And you need to stop telling people that. And people, you need to stop believing this nonsense because it's bullshit. They're not good people. They're literally taking advantage of you. They're taking your money to make themselves look better. And you're falling for it. Like, what the hell is wrong with you? I should blame you just as much as I blame them. I'm fucking done with this nonsense. But I think I've rambled on enough. Or maybe, nah, yeah, I'm done. Well, I'm at the 45-minute mark. So yeah, by the time I edit this, put in the sponsors and all that good stuff, about the same. Cut out that little 1 minute break, whatever. But I will check you guys out later and have a good time.